office everywhere, but
what do they do?
entity is such a huge entity with like so many different subsidiaries. So just because you say entity, something, you know, like there's fixed side, there's like mobile side, they all operate as a different company. Like there's an entity data that does like system integration, right? And then there's like entity soft that sells. It's like a software resellers. So
Entity corp is the main.
Entity corp, yeah. So yeah, that's like the main. It's the holding company, right? Yeah. And then there's communication, and then entity com.
Start.
All right, I think we'll be done before Alyssa comes, but we'll try to. Yeah. All right, so this is XRBlock working group. If it's familiar face, I'm assuming everybody's here for the XRBlock. Not well statement. Veterans of IETF, so I'm sure everybody has read the not well statement. If you haven't, please read it. Blue sheets. And I think we have at least one note taker, Ronnie. And I think I can take the second note and I'll do the JavaScript with the number of participants here. I think that's probably going to work out well. All right, next. Agenda bash. So, because Lisa wanted to be here for the Varun's presentation or slides, we're going to move Rachel's before Varun's, and hope that Lisa will be here before Varun starts his slides. So, agenda bashing, anyone wants to bash the agenda? No? All right, okay. We didn't meet at the last IETF, but we have published one RFC and we have two working drafts right now and nothing else in the queue. So if you finish these two, then we are done. Yeah, we'll just go to sleep. We'll go to sleep. All right, so Rachel?
I think we already had that discussion.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, no, we'll keep it open. Just dormant. Meaningless will be asked. So I think you're supposed to stand inside that pink.
Oh, inside
pink
here,
box.
right? Okay. Okay. This topic is about RTCP XRBlock for loss concealment metrics reporting on video applications. Next, please. Let's have a recap of this document. This document was adopted as a working group draft just before the last IETF meeting. I believe it's in January. Yeah, this year. Since then, we have several changes. So, we explained the time period for the amendment in the first paragraph of section 4. This report block it relies on the amendment information blocks to to report the amendment period and should be combined with the amendment information block to form a RTP packet. And we also did have some metrics changes. We modified the mean frame freeze duration metric to express in units of RTP timestamps. So it now has 32 bits. And we complete Appendix A and also fixed some needs and some editorial changes. Yeah. Okay, next. This is the overview of the report block. Okay. Yeah, we can see here. We basically now we have 6 metrics. The first one is impaired duration, which is the total time length of video impaired by transmission loss before applying any loss concealment methods, and it is expressed in units of RDB timestamps. And we'll also have a concealed duration, which is a total time length of concealed damaged video pictures on which loss concealment method corresponding to V is applied. Here, V is this report block type, which have two values. First one is frame phrase, and the second is including other loss concealment method. And we also have mean frame freeze duration, which is a mean duration of the frame freeze events. And it is optional because in some cases like V equal to 1, there's no use of this matrix, so it's optional. And we also have 3 types of fractions matrix. MIPF, which is a mean impaired frame proportion, indicates the mean proportion of each video frame impaired by loss before applying any loss concealment method. And MCFP means mean concealed frame proportion, indicates the mean fraction of each video frame to which loss concealment was applied. And also we have FFSC, which is a short name of a fraction of frames subject to concealment, indicates the proportion of frames to which loss concealment was applied. Okay, next please. And we also think this document is currently in a good shape, and we think it's ready for working group last call. So is there any other issues or comments existing?
How many people have read the draft?
Not at the moment.
Have any of the draft? Yeah, okay. The usual suspects.
And the usual suspects have opinions? We did not do SDP review, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, SDP director now. Okay, so when and if we decide to send to last call, we need also to send to the SDP director. Yeah. No, I'm shepherding this one. You're shepherding the other one. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Actually, we can fill the room, which is very small, but actually, anybody in the room has concerns about sending this draft to SDP review, and yeah.
You need to specify. Rachel, do you mind giving it?
You are going to say yes? You have concern or no? Yeah.
I was going to say, I just looked at the diff, so I haven't read it very carefully. The changes looked fine. It seemed, I think it lost an overrange indicator in the field, which should possibly be added back, if I remember right. But yeah, I mean, it's been basically fine for a while. So yeah, it just needs careful proofreading, and then it's probably ready to go.
Okay, so I'll send to the list the call for consensus if anybody on the list has concerns, and if not, in a couple of weeks we'll send the document to working group last call. In the meantime, we'll trigger also the SDP review, so we'll send it to music for SDP directorate review. Yeah, actually, we can send it to the PM director. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So PM director as well. Okay, so if you can kind of note, put it on notes that the action item is one to send call for consensus. And the PM directorate. PM directorate as well. Thank you, Rajan.
Thank you.
So are you going to send a mail to Alicia? Are you going to send a mail to Alicia or something that we are starting? Yeah.
Most of, yeah, and then we can just kind of share what we discussed here.
Sure.
ED's blessing or
not.
Or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess next slide. So this draft has just one open issue that came up while I was editing it in March when I realized that so the draft makes some recommendations and then makes a list of then lists a bunch of identifiers, and these bunch of identifiers it inherits from the existing RFCs or drafts that are already approved. So so with Section 6, there are two recommendations. One was 6.7 and 6.8, which look fairly similar metrics. One is burst packet loss and burst discard, burst packet discards, and the other is burst gap loss and discard rates. So one's just the length of packets, the other is like the rate of packets. We had this discussion on the mailing list back in March. There's some opinions expressed that 6.7 should be preferred over 6.8, and my only thing was that since the data in 6.8 cannot be derived from 6.7, so maybe we could live with both because these things are just recommendations and it's up to the community or the implementers to choose either of 6.7 or 6.8, and I think both are rich enough metrics that we could live with both set of metrics, but the feedback that I got was that people preferred 6.7. Some people preferred 6.7 over 6.8. So, not seeing any technical difference, I would keep both 6.7 and 6.8 once. Else, I would just remove 6.8.
I don't remember who made the comments, but were there any arguments about the preference?
No, they just.
Or just what they did in their implementation? And,
yeah.
Okay.
So I think there was Ronnie and there were a couple of others who looked at it and said which ones they prefer. But there were only 4 emails on that thing. So on the other hand, since it's a recommendation, then we're not saying must do this. I don't feel strongly if we should err on the side of caution, or I think we can have both, as in they're not terribly long lists of if people find it useful, they'll implement them.
No, but because it's a recommendation, we can actually argue why we put both actually, and the argumentations that it's not a derived matrix, but it's basically lives by itself. I mean the burst cap loss and the discard rates, so they live by themselves and cannot be derived.
Right.
So that's enough argumentation to include it in the list of recommendations.
Okay, so I'll keep it as it is then. The next slide. So while I was doing this, I found a bunch of things because when I was trying to derive these metrics, I found that, so I made an errata just today because I noticed that the number of bursts were like supposed to be 16 bits, but on the packet format it's 12. And so I reported this. I don't know what's the next step, but since it's reported, I guess people will do what's needed to whatever's needed, right? So do we have to like rev the thing or?
No, I mean,
Okay.
it's just errata, then it's-
So it was 15, and the next field.
That's for. So it won't be 32-bit aligned anymore.
Okay, so is it on the alignment?
This is Ben Campbell. I was just going to ask a stupid question. Is the reason for the reserved field is because you crossed an alignment?
Right.
Very good. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the proposal was to then, because it will overflow onto the next one, and then you need to do something.
Right. So I guess it's just a fix, but
So this would
yeah.
be all 16, and this 4 bits would come there.
So is it supposed to be 16 or is it supposed to be 12?
It's supposed to be 16. That's what the text says. And if,
But so again, the text says 16, the diagram says 12. Which one should it?
I think it should be 16 because even the example says the overrange measurement is 0 FFF FD or FFE. So that's 16 bits.
This
So-
is Ben again. Are you aware of implementations and what did they do?
No, I haven't implemented this one personally. So I think the authors of the draft would be the best people to say.
Since I'm not one of the authors, I very much agree. I mean, I think we should figure out which one it's really supposed to be, and not just assume that the text is correct.
So can you maybe take an action item and ask the question on the list? So how have people implemented it?
I think yeah, okay. But the
If
data went
people have implemented it, and if the answer is yes, how?
true.
If nobody has implemented it, then it's don't care and we do what seems right. If people have implemented one or another, we discuss.
Right. Okay, so I'll write. So the errata already went onto the mailing list. I can just.
The errata is out there. That's fine. So the errata.
So I can just respond.
The
to
errata
that.
just points to the problem.
Right.
Now we are actually trying to decide what would be.
So I'll write. I just respond to that email asking.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Next slide. So this was triggered. So before that, I had the RFC 7003, which had this thing that there was no burst count. So that's how I started looking for burst count, and I found that the assumption RFC 7003 makes is that discards and losses will be reported together. So the burst counts are only in one place, and both reports don't have a separate burst count. So I presume the assumption at that point when the RFC 7003 was written that they assumed that the discards and the losses were correlated, so they could report them as one report or as two reports simultaneously. But I believe this is not true anymore, because you can have discards and you can have uncorrelated losses somewhere else. So you would need them to be separate. And if you need them to be separate, then I cannot use the metric because it's not got this burst count for discards. So, and that was needed for this 6.7 in the draft that I'm proposing. So I'm not sure if this is an errata or if it's a new draft, because I believe there was no technical mistake made in 7003. So I think this is just an assumption that was made and the optimization was applied. So next slide has the slide. I think the two. Okay.
We get the AD to just present other options too.
So this is Ben again, and I'm going out on a limb here because I really like Alyssa Alyssa's the one who needs to make an authoritative statement here. But in general, an errata is for fixing mistakes. So where the document doesn't reflect what the consensus was at the time, whether it's editorial or technical or whatever, it's not for changing our minds later.
Right.
So I would personally argue, and again, sometimes we don't follow the rules because we want to do what's quickest and easiest. And so that doesn't mean you can't do an errata for this, but my inclination is it's not appropriate for an errata.
Right.
As far as doing a draft, you don't necessarily have to do a full biz draft. You could just do an update that just updates that one thing. That's more up to the working group.
Right. So, like, I think we discussed this in offline in Dallas because just before Dallas, I found out, and at that point, the discussion was to do an errata. And when I went back and read the rules of the errata, I was not sure if because we don't want to. So there is a code point assigned to this, and this metric is valid for the assumptions that they made. So I think you can have a different report which says that if you have uncorrelated discards, then you use this one, and the older one is for correlated discards with loss. Yeah. So go to the next slide, I think, please. So the old one was already given 21. There's already an errata on that one because I think the draft says 20, and I think there's already an errata that it should be 21. So, but it's missing a bunch of information, and my new proposal, if we want to do this correctly, would be to like have the sum of durations and put the number of bursts, and then we write a new draft for this, and it would get its own code point. And I would just say that if you want to have if you find that you have correlated losses and discards, then use PT21, and if not, then use this new one, and that would be the draft.
So, I mean, we gotta wait for Lisa anyway. So let's assume that we're gonna take this approach of writing a new draft. Then you'll be referencing both the 7003 and the new RFC in the RTC web statistics.
No, I would only be referring to this one. Yeah.
Right.
Because that one doesn't have the burst count, which is what I wanted. So.
And so new RFC basically will.
Would it obsolete though? But I mean,
Yeah, a new RFC will obsolete the old one, but also will make.
No, I don't think it makes it. It's a different.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe it updates it, but I don't know.
I'm not even sure if it updates it if you're adding a new report with a new code point. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you update it if you're changing something here, but.
Right. I mean, I think this too. We need to check if anyone has actually implemented this, right? And if it's out there, then we can't. I mean,
What do we say about the old one?
So in this case, if you check if nobody implemented, you can do it to historical and then afterwards.
ultimately we can.
But I don't know who, as in not everyone's reading the mailing list, so like it's not clear if people might have
But we
implemented
can.
it.
So I mean, the chairs can chase the authors and try to figure out if they've seen anything, right? If they propose this, I mean, likely they're the one that would have implemented this.
So yeah, for me it was easier to like just consider this as a new draft and with some text saying that what's wrong with the previous one.
Yeah.
What's the
yeah.
authors?
Sorry, what's the authors?
Who are the authors?
Oh, I think it's Alan Clark and
Alan
a bunch
Clark
of other
and
guys. Yeah, let me just check.
besides Alan.
Colin Perkins. So I think I would agree with Varun. My recommendation would just be to write this as a new draft. And given that you have the existing text already, I think writing it as a new draft won't take very long.
Rachel and
Just treat it as a separate format.
Yeah, I just need the XML somehow.
Ronnie, Evan, I think it's good to do this as a new draft. Just mention that in this draft that you prefer to use this on the older one. I mean, at least, I mean, I don't know, later decide what to do with the older one, whether to keep it or just to make it
I guess the only bigger problem would be what to name these drafts because like it already says burst gap something, and then what would this say? Like version 2 of this?
Yeah,
version 2, yeah, sure. Like, okay.
Yeah, if I think it's very easy. So
Right. So like the only thing is that maybe we need some updated.
You use the word correlated, not correlated or uncorrelated.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so
yeah, okay.
uncorrelated loss and discards.
All right, so let's get a feel of the room, although it's a very small number of people. Let me try to figure out how we're gonna ask this. So let's see. How should we do this? Should we do a hum? I mean, it's a pretty small room. All right. Do anyone feel a strong objection towards doing this as a new draft? And if you do have an objection, can you come to the mic and express your objection? Okay. All right. Should we just do a hum then?
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll pull the
confirm on the
on the list. Yeah. So let's see. If you are someone asked two questions. First, in favor of writing a new draft to address this. If
You had no objections to writing a new draft. Do you really need a hum?
no. All right. Okay. So we're gonna confirm it on the list. Right. So I mean, we're not gonna have to deal with the whether errata or update and anything, right? We're just gonna create a new code point and then write a new draft, which solves the problem, I think.
Ronnie, still the errata on the old one should happen because it's a mistake, right? It's the,
Which one? The alignment one?
no, the 21.
Oh,
Oh, that's already
that's
there.
already
That's
there.
already
That's
there.
already there.
That Dan's already like it's from 2013 or 12.
Yeah, that's already there. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So we're gonna confirm that on the list, and I think we are done.
So what are the action points?
The action point is to make a new draft and explain why you did the new one.
Okay. And does the previous document get held up until this one's published?
WebRTC API 36.
Yeah, because you're gonna be referencing the you would.
If we can progress.
Yeah, we can progress it with that.
We get waiting in the RFC.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
If you have a draft, then you can reference the draft, right? Instead.
But let's be clear, you can write the new draft in about a couple of hours.
If someone gives me an XML of the previous one, it's even quicker.
Right.
So I don't know, Rachel, did you write this one or?
She's in the call.
But
do you have the XML?
I think I can get the
Okay, well, there you go.
Okay.
does someone volunteer apart from me writing it? Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Okay. All right, I think we are done. Any unfinished business that you want to discuss?
Any new ideas? Thank you.
So, Ben, do you think we should wait for Lisa still, or I mean, the outcome is it's fine, right? Okay, I'll send that note with the conclusion here.
50-50, you walk out the door, she'll be walking right in.
Okay.
I'll talk to her when I see her, and you can talk to her when you see her.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Let's go enjoy the social. Whoever's going to social.
There is a second blue sheet, and please, if anybody did not sign it, please go. Make sure that you have a chair next time.
Okay, so Rachel, do you have the XML? Can you send the XML to Varun?
I can't get the XML.
Great. Awesome.
I think the Chin has XML.
Or maybe the other editors have it.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. I mean, so we'll, yeah.
Yes. It was story. Because this is what